Hi everyone, I hope you all can hear me. So today we're starting off our new first commit session. This is our new event from FOSS United, and this is basically a bi-weekly session where we get industry leaders in the open source field and I learn about their first commits. So today we have Mr. Gagandeep Singh. He will be joining us, and he is a maintainer of PyDataStructs and contributor to SciPy. He is a software engineer at Quansight who blends high performance computing with open source technology. Today he'll be telling us about his first commit. We will have this is an interactive session. So we'll have a Q&A session after the talk. So please stay till the end. Over to you, Mr. Gagan.
Okay, so yeah, should I introduce myself or like?
Yes,
Okay, so yeah, as Pranil said that I am currently working as a software engineer at Quansight, and in that role I contribute to SciPy. Like I am a proper SciPy maintainer. Most of my job at Quansight involves like working on SciPy projects and stuff. So yeah, at Quansight I was at L4TRAN so for a couple of years, and before that I was again at Quansight. So yeah, so that's how my like career is. Like it's fully based on open source. So it started as a GSOC student at SciPy, and from there I went to L4TRAN, and from there Quansight, and then again L4TRAN, and then back to Quansight. So yeah, I am like pure open source guy, no impurities. Like yeah, never joined Google or any industry stuff. So any corporate, zero corporate experience. Yep. So yeah, totally work from home. So yeah, that's me. So like how should I take it forward? Like should I like share my whole journey in detail, and then like maybe like folks can ask questions, because I wanted to be interactive. Like it's not, I haven't prepared any PPT also, because I discussed with Rahul. He said that you don't need a PPT, and I also didn't have time to do that. So yeah, so like what I will do is I will just share my journey in detail. And is my voice echoing somewhere?
Yeah, there is some noise coming, external noise, apart from your voice.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's due to fan. So yeah. So now is it fine?
Yeah, definitely quite better. Yeah, it's perfect now.
Okay. So yeah, so let me start sharing my journey in detail. So how I like got interested in open source, and how I ended up at Quansight, and like what's the like how it all happened. So when I joined like IIT Jodhpur in 2017, so in my first year I got to know about Google Summer of Code. So like there was a WhatsApp group which I created, which was called Code Zoned. So there someone shared about this like Google Summer of Code program. I already knew about it, but I got interested in it when I saw like the eligibility criteria and how folks participate in it. So and during that time we were in second semester, and there was a mathematics course called complex analysis. So all that integration along the curves.
Guys, is video paused or it's my internet?
Okay, should I continue? Like, is there any logistical problem? Okay, so yeah, so like there was a course called complex analysis, like integration along the curves and everything. So yeah, from there I searched all those libraries, like how like all this stuff is automated, which is like being taught in the mathematics, because like during that time, yeah, okay, so I think there is a bit of disturbance. Okay, so now it's good. So yeah, like so when you were in second semester, like it was just 1 year when I cleared like the JE entrance exam. So the mathematics touch was already there, and then you are in computer science engineering. So I thought like why not to mix these two and find some projects in Google Summer of Code like which mix these two things. So I went to SciPy, like so yeah, there was I searched about this SciPy.integrate function. I thought like okay, maybe I am smart enough to like add an algorithm to do complex analysis. So yeah, like integration along the curves, and the I was so noob that what I did was like, so integration is nothing but like summation of like small differences multiplied by the function value. So okay, So that basic algorithm, I raised a PR in SciPy, and I that was immediately closed. So yeah, so that was very noob thing which I did. And then someone there suggested me, why don't I like make a documentation change, and I just sent a PR again with a like changing an is to R. So that was my first commit actually, which got merged in SciPy. And like I also then proposed this idea of like complex analysis project in SciPy forum. So yeah, and there they told me that this thing is already there in SciPy, but you can go to SciPy. So SciPy is sort of numerical computation and everything. Like you deal with numbers there, like So in that sense, okay, so in SciPy you do definite integrals, like you have to give the limits like 1 to 2 or like 3 to 4. So SciPy has advanced algorithms that will give you a numerical answer in the end. But in SciPy you deal with symbols, so like you solve equations actually. So if you give x square, so you will get x cubed by 3 plus c. So that's a bit advanced. So I went there and they said like we are like this project needs a PhD level guy and not a first year engineering student. So it got rejected, but I still submitted the proposal and officially got rejected. Got an email from like Google, like yeah, like you aren't in. And Simpai's admin Aaron, so he always sends an email to rejected students like, if you didn't get the chance this year, always try again next year and keep contributing. So I decided like, okay, I will take 1 full year and like keep contributing to Simpai and like sending PRs and I will submit a proposal again. So the reason why I chose Google Summer of Code over ICPC is because ICPC seemed like out of reach for me, because and I was not very much interested in competitive programming. So when you're in college, there are mostly like 2 or 3 choices. So one is like you do dev plus competitive coding and you get a job. So ICPC is intercollegiate programming competition. So it's like competitive coding stuff. So like there are like Asia regionals, international, India, and like it's all code chef stuff. So there are two options for students. Like one is code chef stuff, and other is open source. So during that time, these were the only two options. So I thought, like, why don't I do something concrete instead of solving random DSA questions? So yeah, I went for like Google Summer of Code and I took 1 full year, kept contributing to Simpai, like sent some PRs to solvers module, and the community was very supportive. So they helped me complete my PRs. And yeah, so the solvers modules PRs were out of reach for me. Like I didn't know the algorithm, like what were the heuristics, but the community guided me and it went in. Then I found about statistics module and like, yeah, I met my mentor in while contributing to that module. So I decided to do this project of Markov chains, which was in works over the past few years. So there were some Google Summer of Code projects already on that topic. So I thought like, why don't I like take part in it? And I discussed with my mentor there like, okay, I'm interested in this project. And he told me like, okay, sure, go ahead and keep contributing relevant PRs for this project. So I've dedicated my full focus to SciPy.stats, and I wrote a 40-page Google Summer of like code proposal for that project only. But the catch was like, so like that project was like medium hard sort of. So like three students, like there are three more students who contributed to the same, like who submitted proposal for the same project. So like the mentor was also confused. So the scene was, he tested all of us on our mathematical skills. So he sent a small like quiz sort of thing, and like, so it was open book, you can Google. And he sent an email to us say at 8 p.m. and he like asked us to revert back with a filled Jupyter notebook by 9 p.m. So yeah, like I like searched Google everywhere and like I filled up that Jupyter notebook somehow, because it was all like mathematical stuff, like probability questions and everything. So yeah, and like they were required to be solved by SciPy only, like using SciPy.stats. So like I was able to do some of the questions and like failed at some, but yeah, it was open book and it was meant to be hard because it was a filtering thing. So yeah, and like, so the things were quite uncertain till the last moment, because like there was a lot of competition for it, like four proposals into the same project, and there was a test also. And I was already afraid of these kinds of things. That's why I skipped ICPC, and now I had to give another test for Google Summer of Code in spite of submitting a 40-page long proposal and very detailed proposal. So yeah, but I went in, like I was selected, and like there was one more student from IIT Kanpur who was selected for the same thing. So we like jointly worked on the project, we divided the tasks and everything. So yeah, and it went quite well. And from there, Andre Sertic, who was the original author of SciPy, like the founder of SciPy, he saw my work and he reached out to me like for this role called pull request manager at SciPy, where one has to like go through all the pull requests and keep pushing on them, so that like the pull requests which are not in works, they get merged or closed, like they get finalized, so that the reviewer burden is reduced. So I worked on in that role like for an year or so, and he was like, Andre was again impressed by my work, so he invited me for his another project, which was a compiler one, L4tran. And like I saw it as a great opportunity to take that up, because like compilers are the epitome of computer science. Like without compilers, no code makes any sense. So I was like, yeah, okay, this is a great opportunity. So I started working on it in my last year of graduation. And like from there, I asked Andre, like I got to know about Quansight. I asked Andre like, okay, I need a referral for this sort of software engineering role at Quansight, and he knew my manager like at Quansight, so he sent a recommendation and I got interviewed at Quansight. So Quansight was also very nice, like they gave open book interviews, which I prefer over like random DSA questions and solving them without googling, or like at that time there was no chat GPT, so Google was the only way. So yeah, like so I was also selected at Quansight, and I also did my second Google of Summer of Code in 2021 at L4tran. So I balanced both these roles after my graduation, like. And while working at Quansight, so L4tran got funded by another company called GSI Technology, which were making a new sort of hardware APUs. Like there are CPUs, GPUs, and then there are APUs which they were building. Uh, and they needed a flexible compiler, and L4tran was one flexible compiler. So yeah, so I switched to GSI technology. Like once I told Quansight like, okay, I'm going to work on L4tran for a couple of years, so sort of I'm leaving Quansight and I will be back soon. So because yeah, Quansight is like, if you are going to shift to an open source project, so they keep the doors open, whenever you want you can come back. So I did the same thing after 2 years, like till 2023 I worked at L4tran via GSI technology, and we also raised some external funding at L4tran. And after these two funds were over, I switched back to Quansight, and I kept like after coming back to Quansight, I kept working on SciPy, like sorts of things like SciPy. I right now I contribute to SciPy.interpolate, and like I also sent bug fixes to like different SciPy modules like SciPy.optimize and like all sorts of SciPy.cs graph. So yeah, so all that thing. So my career is entirely based on open source since like first year of my college. So yeah, so 100% open source guy. Yep. So that's all, like that's my journey. So we are in present moment. Yep.
Thanks. I have one question. In the beginning, you mentioned I didn't work with Google. What was the significance of that? Like, why didn't you choose to work with Google, or if you had an opportunity?
No, I interviewed for Google, but like luck had something different for me. Like so that's the scene. Yep.
Okay. Um, all right. So, if the participants have any question, you can post in the chat section. Uh, we'll take, Gagan will take from there and answer your queries.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're asking, can they follow you on any platform?
Okay. Any platform.
As in like GitHub, LinkedIn, sort of
How
places.
to start? Okay, any platform we can follow you. Yeah, like right now my profiles are private due to some personal reasons, but yeah, you can follow me on GitHub. Yeah, let me send my GitHub ID. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
How to manage the college classes and exams.
College classes and exams. Yeah,
and our
actually,
own struggle of learning, I mean, how do you
yeah.
manage class, college, and then open source contribution?
That's interesting actually. And I may or may not be the right person to answer this because like during my computer architecture course, so in there were so the pattern was there were two midsems in IIT Jodhpur and one final end sem. So in the first midsem of that course, uh, so me and my friend both studied together for that first midsem, and he got zero and I got one out of 15. So may or may not, I may or may not be the right person to answer this question. So we fully focused on that course, like till the end sems. Yeah, luckily I got A in that exam, like in the final end sem in the final grades, but I was at the verge of failing. So yeah, so it's always tricky, like it's always based on luck, so how much effort you want to put in, because contributing to open source, especially like large libraries like SciPy or SciPy, so it's always tough. So like I used to work 60 hours a week during my college days, so that was like the norm. And right now I work 40 hours, so I used to work harder during my college days because you have to manage studies and open source, and these are the only 4 years where you can either make or break your life. Break in the sense like you won't be breaking your life, but if you can do 100 sort of thing, then you will be doing 10 if you don't work that much during college. So yeah, so it's always like how many hours you put in. Yeah.
So the answer to your question, the person who asked this is, you have to put a lot more hours onto the side work, as in work, building projects, learning things, and you can't obviously skip classes every time. Maybe you can manage the benchmark they have set, let's say 75% attendance, but the rest of the time you put onto your projects, use your weekends. uh, so there's one question for you, Gagan: how to start, where to start? So for a lot of people, let's say I shared the link of L4 Let's say, how do they start with that? What exactly they have to follow to
Okay.
begin with?
So, yeah, like there isn't any general rule for any open source project, but I would say like start with a bug fix rather than a feature addition. It's always better, because for a feature addition, if you are completely newbie and you have zero open source experience, like in general zero open source experience, like for me, if I have contributed to SciPy, I will be able to start contributing to L4tran a bit easier, because like it will be easier for me because I have some like experience already in other open source project. But if you have zero like experience, then you should start with a bug fix. And like it's always randomized, like you never know before starting debugging, like you never know whether this bug will be hard to fix or not. So like start with some issue like which is pointing out a bug, say segmentation fault or something like that, and like give it a week. If you are unable to do so, ping the maintainers like, okay, I have tried these approaches, so like I'm not unable to do it. So like the maintainer at L Fortran, which is Andre, so he's so nice that if you are putting in efforts, he will meet you like over a video call and debug with you. But for a large open source project like SciPy, even participating in discussions like helps you learn a lot. So if the next bug, it will be a bit easier for you because you will be having experience from previous discussions. So it's always hit and trial, so never give up and keep contributing, and always know like when to switch context. Yep, like
Okay. So again, I'll just frame it again, probably from another perspective. Somebody joined engineering college. I mean, first year, second year, and probably I know Python, or let's say C++. And I jumped onto one of the project you mentioned. So what should be the first step? I mean, let's say you said I go to a issue, right? Or and then start seeing there is something I could do. But
mhm.
most of the cases, people are not even sure that, okay, this issue, what is it, what this could be, right? Because it's a big complex project.
Yeah,
Even it's let's say there are 1,000 users, or forget millions. It's a complex project.
yeah. Mhm.
So how do you pick issue? Even then, that's a matter of spending time and having a right decision to make, to find out the right issue that you can pick. How do you even pick an issue with the
Yeah.
limited experience you have?
Yeah. So yeah, I forgot to say one thing. Like before even picking any issue, build the project. yeah, like git clone and build it, like read the readme file and see how to build it from source. So that's the first thing which will give you confidence, like okay, I'm able to build the project without any errors, like yeah. So that's the first thing, which is like a dopamine hit. And now the next step is, it's always randomized, like picking any issue is randomized. So that's the scene, like yeah,
Yeah.
like it's
So,
always hit and trial. Yeah.
right. So basically, we have to fork it, run
Mm-hmm.
it in our system locally,
Mm-hmm.
and then start going through the issues which I could slowly understand. And how much time it will take usually? Let's say I picked L Fortran as somebody who just knows C++, Java, or let's say minor of backend or and database. So how much time it will take me to jump onto this? Uh, an estimate. I know there's no definite answer, absolute answer, but how much time? What is the timeline we're talking about here?
Okay, so timeline, I would say, like after building the project, like it's like you pick one issue. Okay, like you see, like this is something which has some reproducible script. So yeah, some guidelines for like picking an issue is are like the issue must be having a reproducible example, like okay, this is an example and this is how the error is. So that's a well structured issue. Don't pick any random issue which doesn't have any structure and it's like very abstract, so you won't be able to understand the project and you will lose confidence. And after that, like it's like normal debugging practice. Sometimes it might happen that it's very deep inside the project and you are unable to understand it. So I would say, over any issue which is well structured, try it for 1 week, like try debugging it for 1 week. If you are able to, like, if you're confident that yeah, you will be able to do it, so that's how I would say, for a zero experience open source person, I think it will take a month or two to get a PR must, if they are working dedicatedly. Like yeah, like they're switching contests after 1 week, and if they are confident, they are giving more time to that issue, like okay, I will be able to solve this, it's been a week, I've made some progress, I've shared with the community. So yeah, and in the initial stages of your journey, always comment on GitHub daily, like okay, I tried this approach today and this is the answer. So newbies are supposed to be more communicative and more like proactive. So yeah.
Okay, so you're saying it will take up to 2 months to do the first PR, and second thing, being communicative, right? Perfect. Thank you. I'll
Yeah.
move on to the next question. Uh, I would like to ask. I had learned Java language working on DSA from YouTube. Okay, I know that. I think probably on the same line, if you pick a project which has Java in it, and then start using it for fork it, run it locally, and then start picking a project issue, and then try to solve it. Uh,
Yeah, yeah, correct.
why should someone start into open source?
Why should
Am I
someone start
audible?
open source? Okay. Yeah. Okay, so this is a good
I
to
think
do
Munir,
open
I
source.
can take that.
Nice. So
Okay. I think there is network issue from my end or your end. Okay. Kagan, can you speak, please? I'm not sure.
yeah. Hey.
Yeah, you are definitely. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Do you want to take this question?
Yeah, sure. Like, why should one do open source? This is the question, right? Okay, man. So for me, I am earning well, so that's why you should do open source. No, no. Like, so yeah. On a serious note, so like I was genuinely interested in open source because like I wanted to do something which involves mathematics and engineering both. So computer science, mathematics, engineering, like core stuff. So that was my initial reason, and now like the scene is like I'm so used to it. I enjoy it so much, like that I can't leave Quansight or like open source altogether, because I get interview calls from Google, and like I always say no, like I won't be able to do lead code. Sorry, I enjoy open source a lot. So if you can ask questions from that domain, if you ask about my projects, then I will interview. Otherwise, I won't. So that's like my, like I'm addicted to it. So that's the scene. And yeah, like if you're passionate about something, then you will earn well. That's the byproduct, not the main reason. So the real reason is, if you are passionate about it, do it. If you are passionate about joining Google or any corporate house, good, like go ahead for it and keep working hard for it. So focus on your passion and not on anything else. The passion should be the main reason for doing anything. So yeah.
I have one like follow-up question on this. Do you have any philosophical angle, not personal but a general? Think that there should be a philosophical angle to use open source or contribute to open source. Why people should contribute to open source?
Yeah, the reason why is because I think in open source, not philosophical, but I would say from engineering perspective, things are out in the open. So, like say you have the opportunity to point out bugs by just going through the implementation, and there are no hardcore rules like, okay, you need to follow this design guideline and only then you will be able to work on a large project, or you need a certain level of senior position to work on a hard project. So it's all open and all flexible. So that's one reason why, like, I like open source over any corporate house. I'm not saying corporates are bad, like they have their own benefits and own like disadvantages, and open source have its own benefits and own disadvantages, but I like open source because of this. So yeah.
Yeah. So basically, you're trying to say the openness nature, where any engineer can go and look into the code and give a fix,
Yeah,
right?
correct.
Perfect. So another question is time management. I think he already answered. You have to work a lot. You have to give a lot more time to the work. Apart from college, weekend. He said 60 hours. He used to spend 60 hours on every week on
Mhm.
building stuff. So you have to you have to use your additional time into learning and building. How many days we have to attend college? I'll just skip. Uh, when to start solving lead code and what should be the approach. Okay, she's asking about lead code, probably not something to do with open source discussion here. Sejal, when and how did you pick up coding?
Okay, so should I answer this?
Yeah, I think you probably answered already, right? Talking about your engineering, I'm not sure. Yeah.
Yeah, correct,
Yeah,
correct.
please answer again. Probably she has missed in case.
Yeah, so when did I start coding? Actually, I started coding from my 8th class. So in my school days, they used to teach C and C++. So in 8th class, they used to teach C, and in ninth class, they used to teach C++. So I not like very detailed C and C++, like function calls, recursions, a little bit of how to code and things. Turbo C, yeah. So Turbo C was the guy at that time. So that blue screen. So we used to code in that no VS code and stuff like that. So the terminal was basic, that the term terminal used to meant Turbo C, yeah. So and in college, so I had some C and C++ experience, but zero Python experience. So I had to take a Udemy Python course. So during that time, I think a Udemy Python course costed around 700 rupees, which was not that much. And in Coursera, you can just write a financial aid application. So yeah, that will work out. So yeah, so if you have zero experience from school time, so you can just pick things up during your first year of college. Just invest more effort. So someone asked about time management. So yeah, so managing time is easy. Just increase the total number of hours and then divide the things. So that's how it gets easier. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think same question, similar
Yeah.
question. As you mentioned, you worked for 60 hours.
Yeah.
That is the problem I am facing nowadays. How do you manage your time? Like, what were your priorities?
Priorities, so yeah, my priorities were, so like we had some like very like randomized schedule during college days. Like, okay, so one class was during morning, and then one class was during afternoon, and there were some practical periods, and then you were free. So I used to work till 2 a.m. sort of stuff. So like before college, I didn't have spectacles, and now I have one. So yeah, so that's the scene, and it's not going away. So yeah.
Okay.
So
How can I start contributing to open source? It seems very difficult to contribute.
uh, contributing in open source. Okay, what was the question? Can you repeat?
How can I start contributing to open source, sir? It seems very difficult to contribute.
Okay, yeah, it seems difficult in the beginning. Yeah, so that's for any project. In fact, today I contributed. I'm working on this thing called Regred, like Python, which is sort of Fitpack old Fortran code, Fitpack, which is used for interpolation, and I have zero mathematical knowledge about it. But I am using ChatGPT to understand the research. So it's always difficult if you at any level, if even if you have 10 years of experience, things will be difficult if you're new to something. So the way to go ahead is, these days there is chat gpt, so you can use it and you can talk to it and like figure things out. It will figure things out for you and give you the summary. So that's good, man. Like during our days there was no chat gpt, so I'm feeling like a boomer right now because like chat gpt is so great. So like you can learn git from it, github from it. So like there are some basic tools which you should need to know: c++, python, git. So either you can use youtube or chat gpt to learn these things, and then you can just clone a project. And conda, if you are a python user, and anaconda, conda, mamba, so for managing environments, so these are best. So these are some tools which you need to know. And then the generic guideline is clone a project, fork it, clone a project, and build it on your system. So that's the first step of success. And then just go to github, track, see the issues, pick any random one. If you're not understanding, just see if it has some reproducible example, pick it and just start debugging it. If you don't know how to use a debugger, just use print statements. So print statements are best debugging tools for a newbie. So even today I use like print statements instead of a debugger in mixed language projects. So and it's so effective. Like debugger is like, it's very, I think it's a time waste, but print statements are good. So these are like basic tools. And when you will gain experience with these things, it will become a part of your life. So you have to take the first step. So yeah.
Yeah. Uh, I hope that helped you, Preetan. Preetan. Next question. I am a first year student. Recently, I started my Python. He started learning Python. Any suggestion will help me. What your suggestion if somebody just started learning Python as a next step?
Yeah. Okay, so if you have started learning Python, and Python alone may or may not take you very far. Like SciPy is a pure Python project. Even that is not a pure Python project these days. Like it has C++ backend. So yeah, like Python is usually for like exposing the user interface, like the APIs. You make a call from Python, but it always goes to C++ code for like actual execution, because C++ is fast. So if you have learned Python, start using some libraries like SciPy, SciPy, or any Python library, maybe Django, Flask. Is Flask Python based? I don't know. Like, so like all those Python projects, maybe use Django and create a first website. So that's good. And like, or if there is any new like Python based project for building websites is always good. Even I did an HTML and C++ like CSS course from Udemy, and I used to code alongside the instructor. So that's also good. Like, so maybe like the thing is, you need to learn how to sit on the laptop for longer hours. So like pick any YouTube channel where they're building websites or building basic projects, and code alongside the instructor. Like just copy the code, just keep writing it the way they are writing. So you will build muscle memory from there. So yeah, that's
Yes.
one.
Yeah, and I think yeah, Flask is Python based.
Okay.
Uh, yeah. So, question from Akash: is DSA required or compulsory for open source contribution?
Okay, so I would say not compulsory, but sometimes it's needed. And yeah, like ChatGPT is there, so you are done.
So you are suggesting not to learn, like not to practice DSA.
Practice, yeah, practice. I would say practice, but not that hardcore stuff. Like, yeah, you are doing code forces, code chef contests, and like you are, if you are interested in open source, if you are interested in ICPC and all those competitive programming competitions, then yeah, DSA is good. If you are interested in open source, basic DSA is good. Like, okay, so one thing where DSA helps you is you become a better engineer by practicing DSA problems, because you learn how to pick up patterns. So that will enhance your code reading skills. Like, okay, this is how the understanding, like how a large project works at a like higher level. So so you should do lead code, but not like, okay, I would say two problems a day during first 2 years of college. always good. Yeah.
If you have to, let's say you're back in college, and if you have to distribute your time, let's say 10 hours a day
Mhm.
into programming, lead code and open source contribution, or learning open source contribution, how to divide your time between these two?
How to divide my time? So if you are like going to open source, which is this meeting is meant for, so I would say 20% of time for lead code and like rest 80% for contributing to open source. So yeah.
I mean, even if it's not open source session, I mean, what would you recommend?
Yeah, for me, like open source was everything. SciPy, SymPy, and mathematical numerical computing was everything. So my approach was simple. Like during normal days, 20% lead code and 80% open source. But during internship time, don't take that risk. Just do 100% lead code. Like because companies are coming and you have to get placed somehow because bread and butter matters the most. Yeah. So
Okay.
yeah.
But again, another question. Don't you think open source contribution also leads to a more jobs as well? Like,
Yeah, it leads to like startups will give you jobs, but why to take that risk? If you have the opportunity to get placed at college, it relieves tension from your mind. Like yeah, you have something at hand and now you can follow your passion. So yeah, basic livelihood is there. So yeah,
okay.
that was my approach actually. Yeah.
Yeah, but again, doesn't again, sorry, now I'm just going a little deep into this.
Okay.
Let's say you join a college, join a company from the college placement.
Mhm.
Will that necessarily lead you to a job which has open source day to day contribution or use of that?
No, I was at Morgan Stanley as an intern, so I have some little bit of corporate experience. So there was no open source like contributions because Morgan Stanley is very strict regarding these. So very some corporate houses are very strict. They keep everything private. So may or may not lead to open source. But Google is very known for these things. Facebook, Google, Apple, Netflix. So these are open source, like they prioritize open source. So there you can get the opportunity to work on open source
Okay.
projects. So it always depends. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so again, just to, I think the question was about DSA and open source contribution. So, what Gagan was explaining is that we should spend time on open source if you want to have a job, let's say startups, and doing more engineering problems, right? Because, like you mentioned,
Mhm.
open source is the way in engineering, more engineering related problems, because you
Yeah.
see the code and you're able to fix it. But if
Mhm.
you're and that's most of the startups are doing. But
Mhm.
in corporate, you won't have the luxury to use open source or contribute to open source. Okay. All right. So I'll go to next question. Behalf of SETI, how to start coding from scratch? Uh, yeah, that's I think already covered.
Yeah.
Source for open source where we can contribute. Uh, I think you can check out Folklore, which
Okay.
we are maintaining. Uh,
Okay.
and then there is question. Just go to the next one. I think it's a big list. Okay. Sorry. Should we start contributing to open source projects we are interested on before trying out Google Summer of Code for same organization? Okay, so before somebody start, trying out for the GSOC, let's say particular project, let's say Python, should they start contributing to the Python beforehand, or should wait for the GSOC to get into and then start the contribution? Are you not sure? It's just me, or Pranil? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Gagan is freezed, is it?
I believe it is. As
Okay. Yeah, sorry. So the question was, so I think until he is coming back, I'll probably give my opinion on this. I think yeah, he's back. Gagan, can you hear us now?
Yeah, I was already there, man. I was waiting for the next question. So yeah.
Oh no, I think I asked the question. I think you were freezed for some time.
Oh, okay, that's
Yeah.
sad.
So
Okay, so
so
what?
the yeah, sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I'll repeat the question. So somebody asked that Jared, that should we start contributing to an open source project or wait for the GSOC to enter and then contribute to open source?
Well, if you are targeting GSOC, which is a good way to enter into open source, so I think like you should see what all organizations participated in GSOC in the previous few years, and then select from those and start contributing to their project. So that would be better, like risk wise. Yeah.
So people should start contributing to open source even before they have been
Yeah.
accepted or rejected to that particular project.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure. Sure.
Yeah,
They should.
yeah. Okay. I hope Jared, you have the answers, or Jared. Swapnil Gupta start. Okay, I think there's answer. Okay, there is a question. What is open source?
What is open source? When the source code is open. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
out
So
of the
yeah. So I think the CAC 2C262. It's a name. So any software you see, if you can also see the code behind it, if it's open for you to see and modify, it's called open source.
Yep. Correct.
There is an iteration. XT. What is the effective way to get into exponential growth in any kind of language?
In any kind exponential growth, well, like C. So the scene is you start from one. So there is a thing called transfer learning in machine learning, right? So you learn one language, Python, you get some skills from there. When you start learning C++, some patterns will match, so it will be easier for you. So that's how the exponential growth is. Like keep learning, man. Like that's how you grow exponentially.
Okay, yeah. Basically, spend more time, and there is no magic, I guess, right? There's not.
No, like
Yeah. Okay. Anmol, sorry, the question was from exponential growth. Yes, once there's no magic. You have to spend time, more and more time, to have the exponential growth, get the exponential growth. Next question, Anmol. Being a second year student, what should we primarily focus on? DSA or open source? Since many
depend.
people go, yeah, since many people go for FANG, which requires DSA as a bunch of lead code questions.
Yeah, like it depends actually what your goal is. So I would say like DSA should be there. Like it should be a part of your like college life because yeah, you can't take the risk of completely relying on open source because may or may not to lead to a full-time job. And many startups do ask DSA questions in their first round of interviews, so don't ignore it. Balance time, like yeah, like before internships, say, or placement sessions, like even if you are trying off campus, so there is a time in a year like when companies are actively hiring, so during that time practice a lot more DSC. And other than that, just keep doing open source stuff, like 20-80 ratio. So yeah.
I have one question for you, Gagan. If you start a company today, would you hire a lead code person or a open source contributor?
Well, depends like how the things are. If because I would look for better engineering skills because sometimes you have a lot of PRs but you are not that great engineer, and like sometimes the case is you are excellent at DSA but you don't know how to manage things at like when it comes to real world engineering problems. So what I will do is I will do two rounds of interviews, one simply like basic DSA problem just to filter things out, and then in the next round I will just ask to explain their PRs. So yeah.
Okay. And let's say you have just one option, either PR or lead code. What would you go with?
Okay, this is tricky. Well, depends on like if the person has made very large PRs in SciPy like projects, like very large projects, then I would just go for their PRs. And if they are like not that great when it comes to like open source, then I will obviously do lead code, because like small PRs like 10 line change, 20 line change, they don't matter a lot when
I
it
mean, you
comes
don't
to.
have to necessarily hire somebody. You can also reject the applicant, but you're looking for somebody more sustainable to your organization, to the
Okay.
company.
Got it, got it. So then I will definitely look for someone who has like great open source experience, where I can look at the code and like the first thing is, if I am looking at a resume and I'm impressed, like okay, this is the guy, then that's over. Like so that's how my
Yeah,
selection criteria
yeah.
will be.
I'm happy. So, I mean, to everybody who here, if you are looking for some job opportunities which has more self life, contributing to open source is the best way. Because you might be out of practice with your lead code, and but your one PR which you have probably done 2 years back, you'll still have an some kind of connection with the project, or and you'll be able to easily catch up. Because I keep listening to a lot of my batchmates or even junior from college that I paused my lead code programming since college, and now they have to change a job. They have to spend 2 months, 3 months to get back to the interview preparation mode.
Correct, correct.
uh, but if you have done, let's say, PR 2 years back, you'll still be somebody who understand the particular project and easily able to catch up with the whole new project, right? Because you know the architecture, or at least you can easily jump onto contributing to open source because you have worked with the team, you have the experience of collaboration. All right. What is the effective way to get the go? Okay, this is the same question. There's no effective way except just spend time,
Yeah.
enough time, and keep building, keep learning. Satyam, when you are building, we have 10 more minutes, so we'll try to wrap up all the questions within that time.
Okay.
When you are building high performance libraries, how do you manage to write code that's both super fast and easy for other developers to understand and maintain?
Okay, so this is nice actually. So, like, it's not always readable friendly, like user, like developer friendly code, uh, because, like, I would say in SciPy.interpolate, there is this module called fitpack, which has Fortran code which was written in 1980s. So that's super convoluted code. So if the code is super fast, then it may or may not be developer friendly, and right now we are working on rewriting it in C++ plus Python combination. So there we are trying to make it like developer friendly, like by dividing the code into like smaller functions, and better documentation comments and all that. So yeah, like it's always a trade-off. Yeah, because there are some smart techniques you need to use, like in while processing arrays you need to take care of caching. So like whether to read by row major order or column major order, so these are small things. So when you go into that depth, that sometimes developer friendliness goes away. Yep.
Okay. I hope you got the answer, Satyam. Is the coding only way to contribute to an open source?
uh, Coding only way. No, there is one more way, documentation stuff. And I'm not talking about like documentation in the sense just writing code comments, but building documentation websites. There are all like different set of tools for it, like Sphinx and like all that stuff. So there used to be a Google season of docs program which got shut down recently. But yeah, like building docs and like managing docs for very large projects is also a nice engineering problem, where like coding is less involved and it's more about how to assemble tools together. uh, in a sense, like it's easy to the documentation is easy to build and it's tested on CI. So yeah, and CI testing is also way, CI/CD, developing CI/CD pipelines for large projects. That's also one way. All those YAML files, that also needs some engineering like abilities, and it involves lesser coding and more like dealing with YAML files and configuration stuff. So yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, just to add on top of that, there are various data projects. For example, Wikimedia. You can contribute to Wikimedia articles a lot of people follow the articles to learn about things. That's also a way where more people get knowledge. uh, there are open dictionary project. Most of our phone has this English to Hindi or English dictionary. So this datas are being contributed by the individuals to make our phone more accessible by large number of people. So code documentation, what just Gagan mentioned, uh, data and articles, which is basically also a data open data project. You can contribute to the map, the Open Street Maps. A lot of people rely on OpenStreetMap, and we want more people to rely on OpenStreetMap. Moving out of Google Maps,
Yeah.
uh, and you can also contribute to OpenStreetMaps. So just to answer Munir, what Munir was pointing out. Now there is a question from Sai Rahul. Can you elaborate, going from your interest in maths to finding a relevant FOSS project, and then staying long term engaged in the project? Uh,
Mm,
I don't
okay.
believe a lot of people are able to relate FOSS and their coursework, especially non-CS student. Did you get the question, Gagan?
Yeah, so like for CS students, it's a bit easier to find open source projects which are related to coursework. True, like, and in fact, like mathematics students also. But yeah, for non-CS students, like there are projects related to biotech which are in Google Summer of Code. So that's one thing you can try. And other than that, yeah. Mhm. So yeah, that's one thing. And yeah, so biotech projects I have seen like a lot of those are there in Google Summer of Code program. So yeah, you can physics projects also. Yeah, chemistry and everything. So yeah, if you are non-CS students and you are pursuing a Bachelor of Science in physics or chemistry or anything, so yeah, you can also be a part of Google Summer of Code. So, yeah.
So I think the question was, can you elaborate your interest in maths, then going to finding a relevant FOSS project because you were interested in maths, and then very few projects you can find, and then what made you to stick to that project or contribution? How come you are still contributing to the project, for long term? What
Yeah.
is the reason, and what could be the uh, reason behind it?
The main reason is passion. Yep. So yeah, like I liked maths a lot, like really a lot. So then like the idea popped up in my mind, like okay, why not mix these two things? And I always asked like Andre, like whoever my manager was, to give me projects which involves maths and software engineering both. So it's like I, there is this thing called reinforcement sort of stuff. I asked for such projects and I got those projects, so it became a cycle and I always stuck to it, so it sort of became an addiction. So yeah.
Okay, I will start from the bottom because we have 5 more minutes.
Okay.
Uh, okay, okay. There's this chat going on. I'll just. How do you feel? Yes. How do you feel when you see others are using your code, the user code, do a little change, like just changing a name, but proceeds to claim it? Okay, that's a controversial question. So somebody is trying to ask, somebody made a minor change on your code and then claim that they have built the code.
Like that's not possible actually, because git maintains history. So if you have a PR merged, then it can't be changed. Yeah, you can modify the git history in your own fork, but once it's merged in main, so it's not rewritable. Like maintainers don't allow to rewrite it. So in open source, that's not a big problem. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's chill.
Hi there. It be like that. Sometime take some time to understand. Okay, I'm not sure about the question. मेरे को कुछ समझ नहीं आ रहा. uh, there is a license and patent for those kind of things. Okay. Sorry. What mistakes do beginners make during their initial contributions? It's a good question. Yeah.
What's the question? Can you repeat?
What mistakes do beginners make during their initial contributions?
Yeah, so there are. the mistake I committed was overestimating myself. Like, yeah, I can do this integration thing on my own by just summing up the numbers, and that there I was wrong. So yeah, and the other mistakes is like they don't test the code locally before pushing it into a PR. So like when you are working on a large project, so CI/CD pipelines are quite heavy to run. So you should always first test the code locally, and if some tests are so if there are options to skip the CI pipeline, you can add a commit message. So some projects do have this facility where you just add skip CI, so that will skip the CI, and the some like CI/CD load will be reduced. So that's some sort of things you should follow to respect the project maintainer, like the project guidelines. So the maintainers are very cautious about it, because my manager at SciPy still points out like, okay, if you are not sure whether your test will pass or not, then always add the skip CI option so that they don't run initially. So yeah, so that's one
Okay.
mistake.
Yeah, sorry, I'll move on to next question. This is somebody, Anmol from Tier 3 college, and he said there is no campus placement opportunities there. How will open source will benefit them?
Like it will benefit like folks like you a lot, because then you have no other option. Like there are only two options if you don't have campus placements, either DSA or open source. And like open source helps you build your CV, which gets you shortlisted for interviews at off campus like placements, like when the companies are actively hiring. And DSA helps you to clear the interviews. So you should do 50-50 both, like, and like invest like 60-70 hours a week, 35 on this, 35 on that. So yeah.
Yeah, okay. This question, I was thinking of an analogy like there is so many FOSS softwares available. If someone uses it to capitalize it by building their own product, okay, wouldn't that be considered as a theft?
No.
So, yeah, no, because that's what the whole license, give the freedom for anybody to build a business around it. Uh, I hope that answered question, Abnis. Uh, okay. Okay. I think I'll just take one more question. I'll just scroll through the entire remaining one. The minimum requirement first. Uh, okay, there's chat going on, so hard to find out. Touch with maintainers could be considered networking. Any tips on how to? Any tips on? It's the last question. Any tips on how to cut corners in college work
Corners
and
in the sense.
cut college corners? Sorry, even cut corners in college work and few examples of from experience. Probably, Swapnil is trying to ask how to like manage time basically. Uh,
Yeah. So I gave the answer, like increase the number of hours and then divide. So it's easy.
yeah.
Not that. Yeah.
All right.
Mhm.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for asking questions and then also having a parallel chat going on. Thanks, Gagandeep, a lot for joining us in the first coming session.
Mhm.
We did it. I think I mentioned over the email. We did it 3 years back, 4 years back in 2021. We resumed it this year to help students and anybody else as well, everybody else as well to get started with their open source contributions, understand a deeper meaning of the contribution, how long it will go in their career, or not just the career, but uh, the open source, the free and open source ecosystem where the whole world is relying on it,
Mhm.
and how they can become a part of that ecosystem by being a contributor and also having a more uh, a job where it has more shelf life,
Mhm.
versus lead code.
Mhm.
Uh, I'm so glad there were so many good questions, and then probably they also have their answer. In case you don't have the answer yet, please join our FOSS United FOSS Club group. one of us will be able to help you with that, or we can s- pick those, ask those query from Gagan over email, and he can also reply back in like batches, if not one to one.
Yeah,
uh,
sure.
so anybody have anything to speak here from the FOSS Club committee? Pranil, Rahul is also here, I guess. Yes, Rahul is here. Yeah. Uh, all right, Pranil, you wanna speak? Do the closing notes. I'll just go on mute. We can't hear you, Pranil, in case you're speaking.
Sorry. Can you hear me now? Okay. Firstly, I want to say thank you, Gagandeep sir, because this is like really helpful for like us students, and like there's like lot of confusion to us students like what to do, because there's so many things going on in real life as well as lot of things. So I appreciate that you have given your notes on open source software and your passion about open source software. And I would love to for you to come again for another first commit session if you are in the future. Yeah. And if you guys enjoyed this, I would like you guys to give some more details, and like if you want like who is your next first commit session you want from, so like which pause user. So anyways, yeah, thank you about, that's all.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks, Pranil. Thanks, Gagan. Have